My name is Jeff Schneider, one of the admins here at MS Frontiers, and I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about primary progressive multiple sclerosis and what it is. I'm not going to give you any clinical definitions or anything. I'll just tell you from my experience and my understanding what it is. Primary progressive multiple sclerosis differs from other types of multiple sclerosis and such that you do not have attacks. You do not have flare-ups. You do not have exacerbations. You'll hear those words used a lot, exacerbations. Us primary progressive MSers do not have those. Our symptoms are constant symptoms that are there all the time. They do not flare up. They do not go away. They're there constantly. So that is the primary difference between relapsing remitting, secondary progressive, and so on. I was diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and my symptoms have been constant throughout time, and those symptoms have gotten worse, but they've never really gone away. The symptoms, however, I mentioned we don't have exacerbations, but symptoms can get worse. I mean, I'm weak and I have spasticity. Well, that spasticity can get worse. The weakness can get worse. I am heat sensitive. That makes my weakness worse. I'm also cold sensitive, which makes my spasticity worse. So you do have these symptoms all the time, but there can be some fluctuations in those symptoms. Also, for primary progressive multiple sclerosis, there is not currently any approved therapies by the FDA here in America. There are drugs that are used, I guess off-label would be the term, where these are drugs such as Novantrone, Cytoxan, chemotherapies that are used for either cancers or leukemia. They will use those for primary progressive multiple sclerosis. However, that was not their initial intended use. So there are some drugs out there. Another one I failed to mention is methotrexate. That is basically used by people with rheumatoid arthritis. So there are some drugs out there. As everybody I'm sure is well aware of, Cytoxan, not Cytoxan, acrolimazab, which I don't know how to exactly pronounce, will be coming out in March, and that will be the first FDA-approved drug specifically for multiple sclerosis, for primary progressive multiple sclerosis. I don't know how insurance companies are going to deal with this because it will be a very expensive drug. But the key thing I do want to bring up with primary progressive multiple sclerosis is, unfortunately, you will continue to get worse. The key thing is to try and stay active, to try and basically maintain. You may not get better, but you do have the ability to maintain your muscle strength by working out, by doing yoga, Pilates, various other things. My one regret is that I didn't heed that advice early on. But the key is to really try and stay active so you can keep your muscle strength. Once you lose it, from personal experience, I will say once you lose the ability to do something, you probably will not gain it back. However, with some of the new drugs, with the newest drug, as I mentioned, acrolimazab, when that comes out, that may possibly restore some function. But for the most part, I believe it is going to just maintain your progression, to try and halt the progression. So anyhow, again, my name is Jeff Schneider, and that's kind of my 2 cents on primary progressive multiple sclerosis. One additional thing I'd like to add, in my personal experience, MRIs are basically meaningless. I've had MRIs that have been stable for years, but yet I have progressed. So lesions are a diagnostic feature that you have MS, but for primary progressive MS, the absence or presence of new lesions or not really is not an indication of whether your disease is getting worse or not. Again, unfortunately, it is the worst type of MS to have. A lot of research is going into this direction now. So hopefully we'll have some good things to say, and you'll see some good things on this website in the near future. Thank you.